Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in and welcome back to the WTP Sports Dudes. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, whichever channel you listening from, you watching from. Greatly appreciate it. Tonight we're gonna be going through the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, and we're gonna tell y'all who we think is gonna be the best player from each offensive position. And I got a very special guest with me tonight, Mr. Robert Brown, the living legend. WTP Sports Dudes. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing fantastic this evening, man. I missed out on an opportunity to go see Michael Vick, who was on a panel discussion at East High School here in Columbus, Ohio, as it relates to the African American Male Wellness Walk, the summit they have every year. I had 4 tickets to it. I couldn't go, man, because I had to fix my window on my car, man. And I'm like, dang, I didn't want to have to let my window be down all day. So I had to go and take that thing off the hinge and get my door together. But I'm quite sure somebody gonna share some of that information with me from Michael Vick tonight because I gave all 4 of those tickets away.
Hey man, you a real good dude, man. You couldn't go yourself, but you made sure somebody got to go see Michael Vick, which seems like a very educational situation for him in that city. That's very exciting, man. I wish I had the opportunity to go see Michael Vick. Well, let's get right into it, Rob. I'm sure Mossberg is joining the stream later, but I want to talk about the ACC conference. I'm sure they're going through media days as we speak, a lot of players speaking. But let's start at the quarterback position. Who do you think will be the best quarterback in the ACC for this upcoming college football season?
I really do believe that Darian Mensah, the quarterback from Miami, the transfer from Duke, will be the best quarterback in the ACC. He's one of those quarterbacks last year who threw for almost 4,000 yards, 3,973 to be exact, 34 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions on a Duke team that had an opportunity. Well, that ended up winning the ACC championship game with an 8-5 record. But the fact that he was able to play some of those top teams in the ACC and still pass for almost 4,000 yards, we know now that he's with a very super talented Miami team that has the likes of Malachi, Tony, and Fletcher in the offense with him. I'm expecting him to go for 4,500, maybe even 40 touchdowns. And if he can keep those interceptions low like he did last year, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, that is a really great pick. You know what, Rob? I tried not to pick Darian Mensah. I tried to find somebody in the ACC that I could talk about because I know Darian Mensah is like no brainer, right? The reason why I did pick Mensah as well as you is that I felt like Mensah was the best quarterback in the ACC last year. Now he moves on to Miami, right? His number one receiver from Duke comes along with him, and it's like he's not the number one anymore. Now you get Cooper Barquet as the number two guy, and the number one guy, as we all know, Malachi Fields is going to be a monster. So even though I tried, I just couldn't do it. The best quarterback in the ACC this season for Mr. Brown and myself is going to be Darian Mensah, quarterback Miami. You got anything else on him?
I just
No.
hope he balls out, man,
Shout
and
out.
really improves his draft stock so he can be ready to go into the NFL draft with a loaded quarterback room going into this year's NFL draft, or possibly going into this year's NFL draft.
Smash that like button. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Shout out to my pop in the chat. I appreciate you, man. Shout out to Sarah Janae 6837. How you doing? Shout out to Flopper Plushy. How you doing? Appreciate you being here. Let's move on to the running back position, bro. Because I mean, there's a lot of good running backs in the ACC that somebody could mention when you talk about having the best season or being the best player at that position. So, who's going to be the best running back in the ACC this season?
To me, the best running back in the ACC is going to be Isaac Brown, the running back out of Louisville. I feel like this guy who rushed for 884 yards last year, only in 9 games, he almost averaged 100 yards rushing a game, 7 TDs. He had one receiving TD. But the prior year, as a true freshman, he rushed for 1,173 yards and 11 touchdowns. So I feel like this guy is ready, if he stays healthy, to really bust out, possibly rush for over 1,500 yards, and be one of those running backs in this Brahms system that can really take the top off of it when he hits those holes. I really like Isaac Brown. I was hoping he was going to hit the portal because I know Texas was ready to throw some serious dollars at him to come to Austin. He decided to stay, so thank God Louisville did what they needed to do to keep him. But I'm going with Isaac Brown. I think he's going to be the best running back in the ACC.
That's a heck of a pick. And let's welcome to the stage our man T1 of City League TV. How you doing this evening, homie?
Doing great. What's happening, my brothers?
Appreciate you being here, dog. It is all good.
Yes,
Shout
sir.
out to shout out to Christy Longmire in the chat. Shout out to Kyrie Davis in the chat. And while we wait for Mossberg to get on, Isaac Brown was a great pick, Rob. I feel like he has the opportunity to do some really big things at Louisville this season. And let's welcome to the stage our homie, Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10. How you doing this evening, man? Mossberg not there? Okay, we move on. You there, Moss? No. TY, who do you think is going to be the best running back in the ACC this upcoming season?
And I'm not for sure. I think the ACC is just wide open at every position, every team. Everybody has a chance to go and win that ACC. Although I have like Miami up at the top, but man, I think it's wide open as far as I know. I could be wrong. I
Yeah,
feel like everything is open in the ACC.
there's definitely a few really, really good running backs. And I'm going to see if we got Mossberg yet. Mossberg, you there, homie? Still no Mossberg. All right, I'm gonna go to my pick, and I'm surprised I didn't hear Mark Fletcher because I was expecting to, but Mr. Brown threw out Isaac Brown, which is another wonderful pick. But I might surprise some people with this pick. I'm going Justice Haynes, transfer running back from Michigan, now at Georgia Tech. Listen, he was only available for 7 games last year, over 800 yards, 7 touchdowns, some really monster games at Michigan. I believe he's healthy. And then Coach Key and his offense, which is run heavy, I think they're going to run the ball at Georgia Tech. I think Justice Haynes is going to have a wonderful season at the running back position. So the best running back in the ACC for the upcoming season for myself post game will be Justice Haynes. Any thoughts, fellas?
And you were talking about Fletcher from Miami. Fletcher from Miami. Okay,
Correct.
yeah. I do like him.
You like Mr. Fletcher?
Yeah, I do like Fletcher.
Yes, that's a great pick. Fletcher is a monster. There's no doubt about that. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, I like that Justice Hayes pick as well. I mean, remember what he was doing at Michigan last year before he got hurt? He was leading the nation in rushing. He was the most dynamic running back from the first 7 games of the season. Nobody was even close to him. He transferred to Michigan from Alabama. Now he's going to Georgia Tech, where he's probably going to be featured again as the man. I thought maybe he would stay at Michigan for another year, but Michigan got a running back room that is ready to step up. So I understand why he got out of there and went to Georgia Tech, but he's going to a really great situation at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, there's plenty of running backs in the ACC. I personally believe the ACC won't be as bad as they were last season, but that remains to be seen. There's a lot of options at the running back position. But let's move on to the wide receivers, and I need two. I need two wide receivers from y'all. Mr. Brown, who are the two best wide receivers in the ACC this upcoming season?
Well, if I had to pick the two best wide receivers, I'm going with Malachi Tony out of Miami, and I'm going with Deuce Robinson, the wide receiver out of Florida State. Those two wide receivers are the two that I'm going with. I mean, if you look at what Malachi Tony did as a true freshman, if I'm not mistaken, he led the country in receptions as a true freshman with 109. He also had 1,211 yards, which I think was good for fifth in the country. And he also had 10 touchdowns. I feel like Malachi Tony is that dude. I'm expecting him to do great things with Mensa this year. But that Deuce Robinson guy is a phenomenal player as well. I was hoping he was going to go to Texas when he came out of high school, but he chose to go to Florida State. I'm excited to see what he's going to do this year. Hopefully, they got a quarterback who can get the ball to him because he is quite the weapon. He got to shore up his hands a little bit because he dropped some passes last year. But I think those two are the hands above everybody else in the ACC at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that. T1, you got a pick for us? Who you like
Yeah,
at the
but
wide receiver
I only
position?
have one, and I have Tony out of Miami as well. I just think that he's dynamic. I can't believe that some people even say that he's better than Jeremiah Smith, which I think is ludicrous, but that just says just how talented this young man is. So there definitely couldn't be anybody better than him in the ACC. So that's the only one I have at the receiver position.
Yeah, Malachi Tony is definitely that dude. Amazing football player. And I went with Rob. Excuse me. I went with Rob on this. I had the same exact two picks. Deuce Robinson, the 6'6", over 220-pound wide receiver from Florida State. I think he's a matchup nightmare. And I think he's going to do a lot of damage and he's going to be heavily targeted down at Florida State this season. Malachi Tony, it's like, what else? What more can I say? This is one of the most electric players I've seen in the last few years. And the fact that he came in as a freshman so young, I believe he was 17 his first game against Notre Dame at home. You know that just speaks on the talent and the mentality that kid has. I love Malachi Tony. I love Deuce Robinson. To me, these are the two best receivers in the ACC, hands down. Any closing thoughts on the wide receivers, fellas?
Good.
All right, let's look at the tight end position. Mr. Brown, who will be the best tight end in the ACC this upcoming season?
I'm going with Jeremiah Hasley out of Duke. 40 receptions last year, 454 yards receiving, 6'3", 245, a guy who can get into that little slot spot, 6 TDs last year. Now, he's not going to have Darian Mensah throwing in the rock, but I think he's going to be the best friend of their starting quarterback this year. He's going to be a guy who they could feature during certain situations, especially when you need that first down and it's 3rd and 4, it's 3rd and 5, and you got a tight end like him who could get open on some of them curl routes just to get the chains moving. I think this guy is going to be fantastic for Duke this year, and that's who I'm going with. I think Jeremiah Hasley out of Duke is going to be the best tight end in the ACC this season.
Very good pick. Mossberger, Level Up Sports 10. Are you in the building with us, homie? No Mossberg again. City League TV, T Wine. Who you believe will be the best tight end in the ACC this upcoming season?
I'm pulling something from up out the hat. I don't even know the tight end's name. I'm just going to a team, and I believe a former Buckeye is going to be the starter up there in Louisville. And I'm talking about Keen Holtz. And I'm going to look for him to be throwing to whoever their main tight end is. He's going to be checking down to that tight end a whole lot, and that tight end is going to eat a whole lot. And I'm just saying only if he is the quarterback. But if he is the quarterback, I'm trying to tell you that tight end will be one of the top tight ends in the ACC, just because that's a very important position when you're talking about picking up first downs. And as a first year starter, I can easily see that tight end in Louisville, getting more receptions than most tight ends.
Yes, that is a excellent pick. And let me tell you, Ty, that tight end was my pick as well. Yes, I have Brady Foley, the 6'6", 250+ pound tight end transfer. He comes to Louisville, being heavily sought after in the transfer portal. Again, 6'6", almost 260 pounds from Tulsa. He had a decent year last year with 37 grabs, over 500 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He's going to be a monster in that Brom system from Louisville. And I agree with you, T1. Lincoln Kingholz is going to be looking for this monster down the seam and in the end zone, in the red zone, in the green zone, whatever zone, don't matter. They're going to be looking for Foley. I got Brody Foley, as the best tight end in the ACC for the upcoming season. Any closing thoughts?
So I pulled a rabbit out the hat, and it was white. I sound like I pulled a nice one up out of there.
Yeah,
Appreciate that post.
That was good money. That's a heck of a pick, man. That dude is gonna be a matchup nightmare. Shout out to Level Up Sports 10 in the chat. How you doing this evening, my man? We hope you can join and give us that good game on the ACC. My bad, fellas. I hit mute. Let's move over to the Big Ten, and I'm gonna start with you, Rob. The best quarterback in the Big Ten conference this season will be.
I'm going with Dante Moore, the quarterback out of Oregon. I feel like he threw for 3,565 yards last year, 30 touchdowns. He had 10 interceptions. He's going to have to get that down to somewhere around 5, 6, or 7, but he has 72% completion rate. He had 156 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, and I think the weapons that he has between those 3 receivers, the main ones being Decorian Moore and Evan Stewart, if they both can stay healthy, they're going to be really, really tough. He has plenty of weapons. They're going to have a good running game. They got a solid tight end. I feel like Dante Moore is going to be the best quarterback in the Big Ten this year. He might even be the best quarterback in all of college football.
Listen, you get no arguments from me, sir, because that's exactly who I had as the best quarterback in the Big Ten this upcoming seasons. And you said it all. There's really nothing I can say. He did lose Benson at wide receiver. It's Sadiq at tight end. Doesn't matter. That tight end room is fully loaded at Oregon. And Rod spoke about the Corian Moore and Evan Stewart, and they even got more wide receivers than that. I expect Dante Moore to have a monster season this upcoming year. Dante Moore, for the both of us, is the best quarterback, will be the best quarterback in the Big Ten this upcoming college football season. Shout out to my main man, Level Up Sports TV. He said in the ACC, he going Mensa and Mark Fletcher. He said CJ Bailey is one to watch. His wide receiver is Deuce Robinson, tight end Brady Foley. Really good list, my man. Really good list. What about the running back position, Rob? I mean, the Big Ten is known for physical running games. There's so many different names we could throw out there, but for your money, who's going to be the best running back in the Big Ten this season?
Man, I'm going with Jordan Marshall, the running back out of Michigan. Listen, he had 932 yards last year, 92 of it receiving, touchdown. He had 10 touchdowns rushing. But guess what, y'all? He was backing up Justice Haynes, who was leading the nation in rushing through the first 7 games, who was probably going to be the Doak Walker Award winner had he not got hurt. This guy, as a backup, the last 4 games, he had over 650 yards. He was off and running against the Ohio State Buckeyes and probably would have made that game a little different had he not got hurt. Because in that game, he had 7 carries for 61 yards. That's almost 10 yards a clip. But he took that injury and he was out the rest of that game, and he did not play against Texas in the bowl game. I feel like this guy is going to be the man this year for Michigan. We've seen what Justice Hayes was able to do last year. I think he's going to be able to do that as the main man at Michigan as long as he stays healthy. I believe Jordan Marshall, the running back at Michigan, will be the best running back in the Big Ten.
That's a really great pick. And just think about it, Rob. Think about how lethal that Russian attack is going to be when you add in Bryce Underwood and his legs and his ability to get downfield and make rushing plays. That is if that comes to fruition, that Michigan running attack is going to be hell to deal with. And I know Parlay Poe is looking forward to that type of a season. But I went with Bo Jackson, the running back from Ohio State. He stands at 6 foot, 217 pounds. He had 179 carries last season, over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, here's the thing with Bo Jackson. I think out of all the offensive players at Ohio State, I think he's going to benefit the most from Arthur Smith coming over from the NFL and now being the Ohio State offensive coordinator. I think this is going to benefit Bo Jackson greatly. A lot of zone schemes, running off tackle, 12 personnel, 13 personnel. That's how they like to attack. They like to run the football. I think Bo Jackson is going to have a monster season for the Buckeyes this year. Any thoughts on that?
I like Bo Jackson as well. He was definitely one of the names that I had rattling around my mind because what he did last year, once they decided Bo Jackson is going to be our guy because the other two weren't quite getting it done, and Peoples and I think it's Washington, the transfer that came from West Virginia, the big back that they had. Once they weren't really doing much, they went to Bo Jackson, who was a true freshman, and we seen that he rushed for over 1,000 yards, and he was making things crack for them. He really helped their offense become what it was last year, and I think he's going to be a really good running back as well this year. One of the top 2 for sure.
Yeah, I think that's hands down. I think he's in store for a big season with Arthur Smith now as the offensive coordinator in Columbus. Man, shout out to Time in the chat. We appreciate you, homie. You always showing up and supporting and giving great insight on our topics, and we appreciate you for that, brother. So shout out to Time in the chat. He said you took Bo Jackson right out of my mouth. Pause. Ohio State is coming back with 4 starting offensive linemen, the best offensive line in college football in my expertise. I would not be surprised if Ohio State had the best offensive line. But let's continue. Let's look at the wide receivers. The wide receiver, best wide receiver in the Big Ten, the two best wide receivers in the Big Ten. Who you got for the people, Rob?
I'm going with, of course, we know who the man is in the Big Ten is Jeremiah Smith. In 2 years, y'all, 163 receptions, 2,588 yards, and 27 touchdowns. Now, of course, his freshman season, stat-wise, was better, stat-wise, than his second season, but I expect him to be right back up in there with at least 15 touchdowns, 1,500 yards, and doing everything that we've seen him do as a freshman and a sophomore. My other wide receiver, I'm going with DeCorian Moore. I feel like DeCorian Moore, when he came out of high school, was the best wide receiver coming out of high school a year ago. And I think this guy is going to stay healthy, and he's going to be the man, and he's going to do some crazy things out there in Oregon. He got a really, really good quarterback, the quarterback that we think is the best in the Big Ten. I'm excited about DeCorian Moore. I'm excited about Jeremiah Smith. I can't wait till this Big Ten season gets cracking.
Yeah, that's a very good pick. And I'm going to keep it real with you, Rob. I didn't expect you to go there, but that is an excellent pick. Let's welcome to the stage our homie, Level Up Sports 10. How you doing this evening, Holmes?
Good evening. Good evening. It is a pretty hot one here in the city. Feeling pretty good. I do apologize about the technical difficulties. It got me outside on the porch this evening. No screen, no camera, trying to feel a breeze and damp down this heat that we've been in. But it is great to see you all and talk what we talk on this 2026 college football season. And I'm rubbing my hands like Unc do because they got big games. And it's just great to be here this evening as well.
Man, we appreciate you coming through and studying up like you always do, homie. We were at the Big Ten conference, and before I get to that, I wanna take a look at this comment in the comments from Time. He said, "WTP Sports. I'm going to be honest, my brothers. If I did not hurt my knee, I truly would are only had two decisions: Ohio State or Michigan, either or." I was going to one of them, and it would have been over. Man, that's
Ooh.
excellent, man. If you was balling like that, I mean, I'm pretty sure I speak for all the gentlemen up here, man. We would love your insights on some things. Maybe you can come up for one of these shows. I
Yes,
think
sir.
we can make that happen. But
Oh,
Sure.
yes, sir. Uh, Mossberg of Level of Sports 10, the QB position, Big Ten. Who's going to be the best QB in the Big Ten?
Man, this is tough. Seeing what Sig is really done with the portal, I can't go away from saying, man, at OSU, he's my quarterback for the Big Ten. I mean, to come in as a freshman and play the way he played last year, and it's something special to see. You know, the way he put that ball in the air, the way he put it on target. I'm going with Julian Sayin out of the Ohio State University.
Okay, so we got two Dante Moores, one Julian Sayin, the Heisman candidate from last year. Gonna be busting them up this year. So you like Julian Sayin in that
And
Arthur Smith offense, huh?
yeah, it was close. When I say very close, not knowing what the receivers is going to do for Oregon this year. We know he had to deal with the injuries, and when I say I really had him one A, one B type of thing, it was really that close. Knowing the injuries that Oregon has suffered over the years, that's really the only reason. But then having an elite receiver come in like Henry, and you have Smith on the other side, that was the key deciding factor as well. That's a heck of a 1-2 punch to start the season with your super sophomore year as well.
Running back position, Mossberg. Who's going to be the best running back in the Big Ten this season?
Man, only thing I could really think about is that Texas Michigan game, that bowl game from last year. That boy Deuce Marshall, special. I think he could be a game breaker, just as Bo Jackson. I think these are two tough positions in a Big Ten that's going to come down to, a week by week category. I went with Jackson. I love his speed. I love Marshall, but I love that speed, the cutback ability of Jackson, game breaker. I think he could really hit a home run from anywhere on that field. Just as Marshall, I took Jackson. I don't know if I was being a little biased and me seeing him more. I think that was really the deciding factor, me seeing him more this past year outside of seeing Marshall. I think you could really put both of them at that one position, two position. This is an arguable debate all day long. These are two heck of a backs to be in this Big Ten this year.
Let's go to wide receiver because I think we all unanimous on our first wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith. There's nothing else. There's nothing more we can say about that young man. Do you got any other wide receivers in the Big Ten?
I'm gonna go Marsh. I'm gonna go Marsh over at Indiana. I like Marsh. I like Hoover. Matter of fact, I love Hoover. Y'all know how I am about Hoover from when he was at TCU. He come over in this SIG offense, and I think SIG is going to get him the ball many times. He's going to try to get him the screen pass, slants, the deep ball. I think Marsh is actually the receiver to watch this year in the Big Ten. I think it's a breakout year for him. I think that's a special talent. Shout out to Howard, one of the OGs from the WTP. That's his nephew. And tell your nephew, man, we love the work that he's putting out here on his college football Saturdays. And I know his work that he put on the offseason as well is major, which makes him a great receiver. And that's my choice when we know the unanimous Jeremiah Smith. I think Marsh is one that we have to watch out for this year.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I definitely could see Marsh having a monster season for Signetti and those Hoosiers. I'm gonna go KJ Duff, 6'6",
Mm,
225-pound wide receiver. I'm gonna say that again: 6'6",
yes, sir.
225-pound wide receiver from Rutgers. 60 grabs, over 1,000 yards, and 7 touchdowns last season. Look, this dude is a matchup nightmare, and he can make jump balls and contested catches look not fair. And he's definitely a big NFL prospect. I love KJ Duff. I think he's gonna have a monster season for Rutgers. I can see them being down in a lot of games and passing the ball, and he's gonna build those stats up. And he's gonna be virtually unstoppable. I'm going KJ Duff to go with Jeremiah Smith. Did you have another wide receiver, Rob?
No, I just had
You're
Jeremiah
right.
Smith and Decorian Moore.
That's right. That's right. My bad. Man, shout out to Time in the chat. He said Cam Coleman, Texas, Charlie Baker from Indiana. My man was just talking about the quarterback in Indiana. Watch out for the wide receiver Becker. Oh, that's facts. That's facts.
Yeah,
We like
that's what I was
we
about to
like
say.
Becker.
Another receiver, Becker. I think it's like if you think about Ohio State last year, Smitty and Tate. I think we could see that same problem that Indiana given opposing defenses this year. You can't. You got to pick your poison really, because they're a real loaded team at that receiver position this year. When you add those transfers, and then you get a QB like Hoover, I think this Indiana team. I don't know, man. Sig might have something brewing posted, Unc. I just don't know, man. We're gonna definitely see this year, but I like that Charlie Becker pick from Indiana as well.
Yeah, that's a monster pairing. And a lot of people think if you think Indiana is just a flash in the pan team, I'm telling you, I think the Hoosiers are here to stay. I think they did very well in the portal. Sig has been mastering that transfer portal, and that's really how he's been building his teams the last few years. They've been really successful. The last team to beat IU is actually Notre Dame in 24 in the playoffs. But let's move on to the tight end position, Moss. I'm gonna shoot it right back to you. Who's gonna be the best tight end in the Big Ten?
The crazy thing with the tight end position in the Big Ten, I didn't see much, but I like that kid from OSU last year. I can't remember his name. Big six, about a 6'6" target, transfer over from Iowa. I wasn't for sure if he went to the NFL draft. I did like him, but I did like Iowa's tight end that they have coming in this year as well. So for me, that was a position that was kind of tough for me to really focus on in the Big Ten, knowing how spread out it does be with the tight end position. So I'm gonna take Iowa's tight end going into the season. I think Iowa is a team that if you can move that ball with that tight end this year, add to those receivers, I think they could get something on that rebuild moving towards a better stint this year in the Big Ten. Whereas last year, we seen a great stint, but I think if you add a few more pieces, having that tight end cushion, I think could fare out even better for them as well.
No doubt about that. Rob, who you got as the best tight end in the Big Ten this season?
Man, for me, I'm going with Dorian Fleming, the tight end out of Maryland. 40 receptions last year, 351 yards, and he had 3 touchdowns. I think that young quarterback understands that he needs an outlet player, and the tight end and the running backs are the best ones for any young quarterback. I think he's going to have phenomenal numbers this year. The quarterback is going to be a year older. He's going to understand that this is going to be my outlet guy. And when you want to keep those chains moving, like I said before, the tight end is your best friend. And I think this young man is going to understand, listen, I got to find my tight end in situations like this. And I think Dorian Fleming at Maryland is going to be ideal for those situations. I got him as the best tight end in the Big Ten this year.
Some really good picks, fellas. And when I looked at the tight end position in the Big Ten, I can only go to Iowa. I can only go to Iowa, and I'm looking at DJ Vanamy, 6'4", 240-pound tight end, 29 grabs, over 400 yards last year, 3 touchdowns. Now, the reason why I like this guy so much is because he's an extremely polished route runner. They say he may be the most polished route runner in the Big Ten, period. And that caught me by surprise because we know Jeremiah Smith is in the Big Ten, but at least amongst the tight ends, I'm going DJ Venemy. I think he's going to make plays and continue the tradition of a long list of great Iowa tight ends. Any final thoughts on the Big Ten conference, fellas?
I'm glad you got that name in there for me, and it gives me thoughts on Laporta. When we speak on Iowa and they tight ends, how great of a tight end he was. And I think this kid has the chance to exceed that. And when you talk about route running, to be a tight end, that means you making NFL type of routes and you making those type of adjustments at the line when signals are called. You don't become a great route runner just out there moving. You got to know everything to make those adjustments. So it's just a great thing to see Iowa stand steady at that tight end position and knowing what's to come as far as in this season and build them.
Yeah, no doubt about that, man. Iowa is known for the tight end position, so I'm pretty comfortable in predicting that he will have the best season out of all the tight ends in the Big Ten. Let's move along to the SEC, Mr. Brown's conference. Now, I'm gonna start with you on this, my man. Who will be the best quarterback in the SEC this upcoming season?
But you already know. It's Arch Manning, the quarterback out of Texas. And I'm not picking him because I'm a Texas fan. Listen, 3,100 yards last year throwing, 26 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. 5 of those interceptions came in the first 5 games of the season. He had 400 yards rushing and another 10 touchdowns. When you couple this guy with Ryan Wingo, Emmett Mosley, Cam Coleman, and then you pick those 2 running backs back there, Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown, and then you allow this man to be able to pull it out their belly on RPOs, whether he can throw it or run it. This guy is going to be unbelievable this season. He got all of that stuff that he went through last year early in the season behind him. He's ready to take command of college football this year. There's no way I can pick anybody to be better in the SEC than Arch Manning because he can throw the deep ball. He got to get that short thing together, but he can also run. And I feel like him as a dual threat. We all know dual threat quarterbacks, they change the game. And a lot of times when you got a dynamic one like that, you go to national championships. A la Vince Young, a la Cam Newton, a la Tim Tebow.
Yeah, that's a really great point, my man. And I did not go with Arch Manning only because I knew you were going to pick Arch Manning. But Mossberg, what you got for us, my man? That's a really good pick, Rob. Who you got top quarterback in the SEC this season?
I apologize about the crickets moving around in the background, but for me, I think everybody kind of know my choice. It's not just my unc, but I've been watching this Arch Manning grow. And I think he came into his own in that Michigan Bowl game last year. And I looked at it as Cam taking picks of Hollywood, smothering Wingo in the end zone on a celebration. And if everybody take a second to go back, Cam is Cam Coleman taking pictures of Hollywood. That's a touchdown. Then you got just too much with Wingo and the rest of the game. I went with Arch. I think this is a season he has the weapons of mass destruction to do what he needs to do. And I think if we all looked at game 1 versus Ohio State last season and looked at game ending the season against Michigan, wow, tale of two halves. And then coming into this season, Arch Manning, I think you should get ready to take a seat in New York. And this may be the year that we see quite a few QBs in there. I think with a defensive player, maybe a running back. I don't know. It's some great offensive players, and I think Arch is going to be a juggernaut this season with this Texas offense.
I would be the third one to say Arch, but I knew you guys were going to pick Arch, and that could be the case. But I threw a Hail Mary on this, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. I went Lenore Sellers, 6'3", 240-pound quarterback from South Carolina. I know he kind of had a down year last year with 13 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Didn't do too much rushing as he might have been dealing with injuries, but we know he has the ability to run the ball. And they rebuilt that offensive line for him to keep him upright when he drops back to pass. So we'll see how quick South Carolina is able to have that offensive line gel and protect a quarterback like Sellers because he's a dude when he puts it all together. I love his weapons. He gets Nitro Tuggle, the transfer from Georgia, transfer from Purdue. Now at South Carolina, I got to see this kid in high school because he was a local around here doing damage, really explosive player. And then you got to talk about Nick Harbor being a option for Sellers down the field as well. Rebuilt offensive lines, explosive weapons on the edge, outside in the middle of the field. This is why I'm picking Lenore Sellers to be the best quarterback this season. Anything else on the QBs, fellas?
I like that pick.
Yeah. I like Time saying Gunnar Stockton, man. I think Gunnar Stockton is going to be a really, really good quarterback for Georgia. I know we talked about him and the long ball, but I think he's going to be a lot more confident in his long ball this year. And then he also threw out Oklahoma out there, and the quarterback that they have in John Mateer. I think Mateer can have one of those fantastic seasons too. I don't know if Oklahoma fixed that run game though. Their line is going to be better because they're going to be a year older, but I don't think they fixed that run game, so that might hinder John Mateer a little bit. But I like both of those quarterbacks because Mateer, of course, was leading the Heisman Trophy voting through the first 5 or 6 games last year.
That's a fact.
I was about to say, and thinking of Mateer, I was going to mention, he's one of my guys too. I spoke highly on him last season. His injury, derailed a lot with that Oklahoma team, if you think about it. When he went down, it was times where Oklahoma wasn't they self. Defense could make their move. Mateer could be himself on offense, but that kind of disappeared. So I think the weight put on, the muscle, if anybody's seen Mateer the Deer, as I call him, he's looking brolic. And he's looking like he's ready for a comeback season off that injury, to doubt the naysayers. And I think he can manage to stack up that run game that you need in Oklahoma to get through a season. Now, it's going to be tough in that SEC. That's one thing for sure. But Arch is going to be the top, but Mateer, great one to watch as well for me. And definitely I like what you said about Gunnar Stockton. I think he's just a quarterback everybody's forgot about, and they forget the work that he's put in. And I think the team surrounding him this year could definitely pay dividends for his career at Georgia as well.
Yes, for sure. That's a fact. That's some really good quarterback picks in the SEC. That's going to be an exciting league to watch when it comes to quarterback play. That's for sure. Let's turn to the running backs. Mr. Brown, who's going to be the best running back in the SEC this season?
The best running back this season, I got to go with Keywan Lacey. I mean, I think Keywan Lacey was third in the country last year in rushing with 1,567 yards, 24 touchdowns, y'all. 24 touchdowns. And guess what? This guy carried the ball a boatload. He had a boatload of touches, and he had absolutely no fumbles. None. I'm going with Keywan Lacey. I feel like he's going to be a more integral part of the offense than he was last year. And we all know he was a huge part last year. He's going to have to be even more this year because they don't have all the pieces that they had from the previous season. They don't have Lane Kiffin there. But I think Pete Golden and that staff understands what they got with him and Trinidad Chambliss. And I think Keywan Lacey is going to ball out. It took me a minute to realize that Keywan Lacey was somebody that Texas was highly after when he came out of high school. It took me a while to realize that. But when I was looking him up, I was like, goodness gracious, Texas was after this guy, but he ended up going to Ole Miss. And I'm telling you now, he's going to be the best running back in the SEC.
Excellent pick. Mossberg, who you got as the best running back for the SEC this upcoming season?
For some reason, I knew Unc was going with Keywan Lacey. I think that's a great pick. And when you broke it down with the no fumbles, that's special. So for me, I was actually having a battle with a running back I could think revamped that Alabama, the plane going over. I apologize. I think that could put Alabama in a different picture as well. A lot of people didn't really look at this running back because I know Keywan Lacey was going to be a pick, Ahmad Hardy. I'm going to look at Deshaun Bishop out of Alabama. This kid is amazing. To come in and be a dual threat back, 20-plus touchdowns, and to get over 1,000 yards and 4 yards per carry. If you go back some years and look at the running back in his first year that had about 4 to 5 yards a carry, I think he became a Heisman Trophy winner for Alabama. So I'm going to go with Deshaun Bishop out of Alabama. And you talking about the acceleration, the yards after the catch. He's a dual threat running back. And when he's in space, he's electric. And he was one of the reasons Alabama continued to make a push for that playoff as the season progressed last year. So I'm going to go with Deshaun Bishop out of Alabama.
Deshaun Bishop out of Tennessee, you mean?
Tennessee. Switched over and transferred. My bad.
Yep, you good. That is another really good pick for the best running back in the SEC. Fellas, it's so many names. I don't think you can go wrong with any of these guys. Time mentioned in the chat, Ahmad Hardy. If fully healthy and healed from the gunshot wound, that dude can put up video game numbers. But I went to Florida for my best running back in the AC or the SEC, and I'm taking Jaden Ball, 6'1", 231-pound running back from Florida. Over 200 carries, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. And the reason why I like Jaden Ball is he can hurt you in the run game. He can hurt you in the passing game. Sumrall comes over from Oregon, is the new coach at Florida. What does Sumrall like to do? He likes to run the ball. They are heavy run, and they look to crush you in the running game. That's his philosophy, and I think that ball is going to have a magnificent season in the SEC this year. Versatile guy. I love him. I can't wait to watch what he does this year. Any closing thoughts on running backs, fellas?
I feel like this, man. I'm glad you picked Jaden Ball because he was on my list too. And I just don't think it's fair that Texas has to face this guy 3 years in a row. That is not fair that you got to play one of the best running backs in college football 3 years in a row. That's nuts, man. That's nuts.
Yeah, man, y'all definitely gonna have to bring them lunch boxes with y'all or what they call it from back in the day, lunch pails. Yeah, y'all gonna have to bring the lunch pails against him. That's for sure. But anybody will, Rob. So
For sure.
you got anything else, Moss?
No, I was just gonna say it's just special to see this SEC and the rankings. You know, the quarterbacks, and now we have the running backs. Like when we all could pick and choose, that just goes to show how elite these conferences are, how great these players are in a position as well. And you know, I had another one. Of course, my Hardy was on the list. I felt Deshaun Bishop was one. With that transfer, it's a reason. Um, I just thought he was a special running back for me to watch last year. Just seeing what he did and brought, you know, with that Alabama run game, knowing that they was dealing with a lot of injuries. So definitely.
Let's switch over to the wide receiver position, fellas. And I'm gonna start with you, Moss. Who are your two best wide receivers in the SEC this upcoming season?
I thought you should have went with Unk this year. I think we all know Cam Coleman is definitely up at the top, man. I see why everybody was looking for him. I'm going Cam Coleman out of Texas. I think when so many top teams is wanting you, and it was like a free agency sweepstakes, it kind of took me to what we dealing with LeBron and Cam Coleman. So I'm taking Cam Coleman from Texas. I think this is a year that everybody's been waiting for. He's getting with Arch. I think that's going to be special, and I'm glad SEC Sean put that in there because that speedster is special too out of Texas A&M. But I'm going to go with Cam Coleman, wide receiver out of Texas.
You got another one?
It was going to be Nick Harbor. It was going to be his boy, the speedster from Texas A&M. I think it's that year that they have to, you know, for that team to excel and not just get to the playoff, not knocking, you know, the great season they had. I think for them to excel, be a championship contender, I think they have to definitely connect quite a few times. I think this has to be a breakout year for him, in which we all think that it will be. So I'm going with Cam Coleman. I'm going with Nick Harbor. Both Texas, one A&M and one Longhorns. Just like those guys.
Yeah, you talking about Mario Craver?
Now I'm the speedster, him and Nick Harbor. I get South Carolina.
Yeah. Okay,
Carver.
gotcha.
Okay, yeah, because Harbor is Texas A&M, but Craver he over in South Carolina. I do be getting them mixed up too, which is crazy because them black jerseys.
No doubt about that. What about you, Rob? Who the two best wide receivers in the SEC?
I'm definitely going Mario Craver, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Last year, 59 receptions. That's not a lot. 917 yards, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns isn't a lot. But now he doesn't have to battle with Concepcion. He's going to be the man. He's going to be the guy that we all know that Marcel Reed is going to target a lot. He's going to be the guy that listen, we need these 7 yards. Mario, where are you going to be? I'm going to make sure I got that ball where you need it to be. And I think Mario Craver is going to be lights out this year. The speed he has, he can take the top off. He can catch a short pass and take it to the house. I love him. I think he's going to be a top receiver in the SEC. And then I got to give my man Ryan Williams some love. I think he is going to bounce back from a sophomore slump. I think they're going to move him back outside where he needs to be. He's too slight built to be in that slot. I think he's going to come back with a vengeance. He dropped some balls that he shouldn't have dropped. I think he's going to be ultra focused. And I think Alabama's coaching staff understands that if our running game don't get rolling, we got to find a way to use Ryan Williams same way they used Bernard last year. And I think that's what they're going to do because they want to help that young man be one of the top wide receivers chosen in the NFL draft next year. Because I don't think he's coming back for a fourth season after this one is done.
Yeah, we had the same exact wide receivers, Mr. Brown. I think we all had Cam Coleman. But the thing for me with Ryan Coleman Williams, I want to bet on his talent. I want to bet on that upside. We're not sure what the quarterback position is looking like in Alabama. I don't think they've announced a starter. I know they had a battle, but they got some talented guys. And I think they're going to put Ryan Coleman Williams in position to be successful this year. He's just too talented, man. I'm betting on the talent. So I'm going Ryan Coleman Williams and Cam Coleman. Any closing thoughts on the wide receivers, fellas?
I like that you guys both picked Ryan Coleman Williams. I've been watching this kid since he came in. Class early. I think he's going to have a special year. I agree with you, Post. I think the crazy thing is, and that's hard to see, is someone with so much of a elite talent had to go through the issues that he's going through in his college days at the quarterback, before you get to that next level in the pros. That's the toughest thing for me to watch. But I think he doubts, again, all the naysayers. Ryan Coleman Williams is one of my guys. I think he have a great year, productive year at Alabama, and gets things turning. That Roll Tide, when they got a receiver doing work, it's something special because the running game and everything else going to be taken care of. So I think this is his year to break out and have a much better season than we've seen in these first few.
Rob, who you got as the best tight end in the SEC?
The best tight end for me is coming out of LSU. I think Trey Green is going to be the best tight end in the SEC. He only had 33 receptions, 433 yards, 7 touchdowns, but he's 6'7", 240, which means this guy can get better as an inline blocker. But when you put him in that slot, man, who's going to be able to deal with this guy? You can't put a safety on him. He's too big. You can't put a corner on him. He's too big. And you can't put a linebacker on him. He's too slow. This guy is going to eat like crazy in a Lane Kiffin offense. I'm going to be watching him closely all season because I think Trey Green is going to light it up. He's going to probably double those stats next season.
Yeah, I remember seeing him for the first time. I'm just like, man, that dude can't be a human being. He just stands out. He's so, he's huge. He's a big person. He's hard to miss. And I believe he is going to make a lot of plays this season. Mossberg, who you guys the best tight end in the SEC?
It was crazy because that was definitely, I was going that same way with Trey Dez. You can't not miss the 6'7". And as they do, throwing their hands up, 6'7". But I'm going to go Texas Tech, and I'm going to take Terrence Carter Jr. I think he's special. I think when you think of this Texas Tech team, think of what they've been through at the quarterback position, a tight end not being able to have that comfort zone. I think he's one of the guys that's working with Hammond along with the other quarterbacks to keep that playbook thorough and keep things moving. And again, this is, he's upperclassman. So one of those things that you want to do is have that leadership. I think he brings that to Texas Tech this season. And if the passing game is developing, I think he's going to be one of the brightest spots on this passing game for Texas Tech. So I'm going to go Terrence Carter Jr.
Excellent picks, fellas. Those are some really good tight ends. I had to go with the tight end Houston Thomas at Texas A&M. Yes, SEC shine. I'm going Houston Thomas. I'm going your boy for the Aggies, 6'5", 245-pound transfer, 34 grabs last season, 347 yards with 2 touchdowns. Now, why Trey Green is a mutant and athletic freak, that you just can't teach that. But the main reason I'm going with Houston Thomas is he's going to be a matchup nightmare down the seam. And you think about all the weapons Texas A&M has to stretch the field, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities to make plays, not only in the passing game, but he's a really good blocker. So I tend to like the more balanced tight ends, guys who can make plays in the running game and stretch the field as well. And I think that the quarterback from Texas A&M, Marcel Reed, is going to be looking for Houston Thomas a lot this season. Any closing thoughts on tight ends, fellas?
Yeah, I like a Texas A&M tight end too, but man, I just could not give SEC Sean the satisfaction of putting two of his guys on my list. I just couldn't do it, man. Couldn't do it.
I was just thinking when we talked about quarterbacks in the Big 12, I mean, in the SEC, thinking of Gunnar Stockton and that, aftermath when we speak a few, thinking of Lawson Lukey, over at Georgia. When we think of tight ends and when Georgia have a superb tight end, we've seen things. We know what Bowers is doing in the NFL now. We know what he did in his years at Georgia. So another name just to think about, look out, Lawson Lukey out of Georgia. He caught 4 touchdowns, 3 in one game. So this boy got hands, and he's a big boy. So just a name to think about. And if Georgia is excelling this season, Stockton to Lukey is going to be something to see for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I surely do remember that tight end for Georgia through Notre Dame's playoff run they had in 24. That dude has been making plays. That's a great pick. But fellas, let's move to the Big 12. I know everybody is expecting some fireworks out of the Big 12 conference this season. I know I am for sure. Mossberg, jump us off. Who's going to be the best quarterback in the Big 12 this season?
Man, I don't know if they're going to look at me crazy or say Moss be crazy, but I like Drew, and I'm going to call him Drew Mesto. I know it's Drew Maker, but I just think he's going to be something special. Being able to pass that ball in the Big 12 this year, having some weapons. I just like this kid. He like how I had that liking to Hoover over in the Big 12 when he was at TCU. I have that same liking towards Drew Maker. I think he could be that great QB in the Big 12 this year. I'm going with Drew.
What you got on this, Rob? Best quarterback in the Big 12?
Yeah, I think in this conference, man, you got a variety of guys that you could really pick. There's not one that outstands another. I'm going with Connor Wigman out of Houston. I feel like this guy is in his 4th season in college football. He's ready to really light it up. We've seen how he balled out last year. He had 2,705 yards passing and 25 touchdowns, but he has 700 yards rushing. You talk about dual threat. Now you got a guy who has weapons everywhere now. Oh, he's going to ball out, bro. He's going to ball out. I think Connor Wigman is going to be the best quarterback in the Big 12, and it may not even be close once the day is done.
Some really great picks at the quarterback position. Fellas, I'm going reliable, and I'm going Noah Fafita, quarterback from Arizona. Man, you look what he's been able to accomplish at Arizona, being a starter the last 3 or 4 years, over 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, only 6 picks last year. He brings a wealth of experience and a guy who's short in stature, but is just a playmaker and can really launch the ball around the field. Now, they brought in some receivers via the portal, but they do bring back Trey Spivey, and I'm excited to see that combination in the Big 12. The best quarterback in the Big 12 for post game is going to be Noah Fafita. Got anything else on QBs, fellas? That's a really good pick, SEC Sean. I like AJ at K State as well. Running back position. Who do I start with? I started with you, Rob Mossberg. Who's the best running back? Who's going to be the best running back in the Big 12 this upcoming season?
My mic was muted. My bad. When you think of the Big 12, of course, LJ Martin, BYU. This is my guy. I think he's special. Um, it's a couple of big running backs in this Big 12, but LJ Martin, to me, I think he stands out. And when you think about BYU's offense, you think of LJ. And Martin is the last name, and I think he's special. I think he's going to have one of those seasons to where he gets about 15. Like Unc said, we talked about it a few last week, 15 to 1,700. And I think he could surpass 20 touchdowns this year. I think he could be that running back that receives the ball even more, but definitely we know what he could do on the ground. LJ Martin, BYU.
What you got, Rob?
Yeah, I'm going with LJ Martin as well. 1,305 yards, 12 touchdowns. He had 255 yards receiving last year. I think he's going to definitely get near 1,500, if not 1,600, 1,700. I feel like he's going to get close to 15 touchdowns. I think he's going to be the running back in this conference that is probably going to get featured the most because BYU is one of those teams that they're going to run the ball. And like I said on previous videos, when it comes to the fourth quarter, man, if it's a close game and they got to close it out with the run game, like most teams want to do, LJ Martin in the fourth quarter, man, is going to be a freaking monster, bro. He's probably going to rush for at least 50 to 60 yards in all of those closeout games in the fourth quarter, which means on that last drive, he's probably closing that thing out so they can get the kneel down. And I think he's going to be lights out this year for BYU. And I think he's going to be the reason why they're going to be so good and win the Big 12.
Fellas, that's a clean sweep. 3-0 all for LJ Martin, starting running back for the BYU football team. 6'2", 220 pounds, just a force. And the one of the biggest reasons why I like LJ Martin, fellas, is BYU is projected to have one of the better offensive line, not only in the Big 12, but in the country. So you parlay that with having LJ Johnson. I don't think they play Tech in the regular season. They can meet up with Tech in the conference championship game if they get that far. But I don't see any of these teams in the Big 12 being able to slow down this BYU run game. So that's why I went with LJ Martin. Rob, who you got as your wide receivers? Two best wide receivers out the Big 12.
Well, I'm definitely going with Amari Thomas, the wide receiver out of Houston. 67 receptions, 966 yards, 12 touchdowns. I think he's going to be the best wide receiver, and I think Wigman is going to make sure that he gets his touches, and he's going to make sure that that dude is the feature wide receiver. But they got other weapons out there too, and I really feel like the wide receiver who was on the charts last year, who transferred to, I think he transferred to, did he transfer to Colorado? The dude from San Jose State. What's his name again?
Yeah, Danny Scudero.
Scudero. I think this guy is going to be unbelievable this year in the Big 12. I really like him and Amari Thomas. I think those two guys are going to be battling it out for who is going to be the top wide receiver in the Big 12, but I think they're both are going to be first team all conference.
Who you got? Level Up Sports 10, best wide receivers, best two wide receivers in the Big 12.
Unc was in my back pocket. I think we'd be looking and noticing some of the same things, and you could tell we WTP and grew up together. I was definitely looking at Amari Thomas. We haven't seen a receiver like him since 2022 doing what he did in Houston, setting records and doing his due diligence at that position. But I'm going to go also with a transfer. He didn't come from San Jose State. He came from Central Arkansas, and he hitting up Cincinnati Bearcats. as a wide receiver one, Malachi Henry. Get used to this name. He had a major season last year, having 69 grabs for over 800, almost 900 yards, 889 to be exact. And I think when you come into a Big 12 conference, and at Cincinnati, they pass heavy. I think this the year he have a breakout year. He comes from Central Arkansas, gets to Cincinnati, and gets him over 1,000. And then the NFL get to looking, and he get to sending that film over to him even more. So I think Malachi Henry, Amari Thomas, respectively, this year in the Big 12. I mean, it's a bunch of receivers in this Big 12, but these are two that I feel would know Amari Thomas off the charts. But Malachi Henry is one to watch. Special talent, and he's definitely a great route runner. And he'll go get that ball, as they say, bossed him many times.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Those are some awesome picks, Rob. I mean, I had the same exact wide receivers that you have, my guy. I got Amari Thomas from Houston, and I got Danny Scudero, the slot wide receiver for the Colorado Buffaloes. And I think Amari Thomas and Connor Wegman are going to be one of the best quarterback wide receiver duels in college football this upcoming season. And again, if I was playing college fantasy, I would be extremely happy with that stack. Danny Scudero in that go-go offense for the Colorado Buffs. I think Julian Lewis is going to target him early and often, and he's going to eat. So I like Danny Scudero and Amari Thomas as my two wide receivers, as Rob did. And I can't wait to see this Big 12 conference play out, fellas. But let's move on to the tight end position, our final position to talk about. Best tight end in the Big 12, Mossberg. Who you going with?
I'm going with the matchup nightmare. He goes from the Big 10 and joins the Big 12. Coming from Illinois, I'm going to go with Cole Russ. And they got him to Arizona. And you know your boy Noah, he can find a matchup problem. And they brought him in because they said he could create not just a matchup problem, but a matchup nightmare for opposing defenses. With his height and his ability to catch the ball by defenders, he kind of reminds me of a Travis Kelce. And I know that's a Hall of Famer to beat. That's big words and big steps to follow. But I think Cole Russ could definitely take that on with the leadership of Noah at that quarterback position and have a great year in the Big 12 as that tight end this year.
Yeah, great picks, fellas. For me, I'm going to say the best tight end in the Big 12 is going to be Walker Lyons for BYU. 6'5", 245 pounds. He brings a lot of athleticism, and the number one reason I pick him to be the best tight end in the Big 12 is the opportunity he's going to get. When teams are focused on BYU's run games, that's going to leave a lot of holes down the seam, down the middle of the field, at the goal line for this tight end to eat. And I think he's going to put up huge numbers. He might even lead the team in receiving. So I'm going Walker Lyons, tight end BYU, as my Big 12 tight end. What you got,
well,
man?
I got my man because you skipped me. Your cup might be covered.
My cup is super colored, man. I apologize, bro.
That was a good one.
At the tight end position, I got Terrence Carter Jr., tight end out of Texas Tech. 55 receptions, 624 yards, 5 touchdowns. As a tight end, when you got stats like that, the NFL really look at you highly because those are the kind of stats they want to see tight ends having. When you got those kind of numbers where you're getting nearly 60 receptions, almost 700 receiving yards, they know that you can be a playmaker in their offense in the NFL. And I really like Terrence Carter Jr. at Texas Tech. I wish Texas Tech man was on here so he could hear me giving his Texas Tech Red Raiders some love.
Yeah, no doubt about that, man. You got to forgive me, Rob. You know, I work in the heat, man. So I'm not right until I got 8 hours of sleep in. So what you got anything else, Moss, before we get up out of here?
Nah, man, I would say, man, just look forward, man. It's been a long time. I know everybody been waiting and anticipating some conversations from your boy Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10. We got a great conversation tomorrow night, 6 p.m. with one of the guys straight out of Columbus, Ohio, Jamel Cornley, who was a hooper at the Have, as they call it, Brookhaven High School. And he went on to play at Penn State, where he became a special piece of what they were building. And we're going to enhance the stream and talk more about that tomorrow in that one-on-one conversation. And it's just an honor, to be able to have him on amongst the different talks that I've been having with some of the other guys and the athletes. If it's you out there that want one of those conversations with your boy Mossberg of Level Up Sports 10, definitely tap into our website, WTPSportsDude.com. You see Unc up there. You could get with him through the email, or you could reach us all, and we could definitely bring that conversation to life. And I'm going to be putting together quite a few more conversations, not just on sports, but just on life itself, trying to bring some cooking, trying to bring a lot of different live events, as you've seen the Open Gym run on Tuesday, try to bring more of that stuff to you live as well. And it's just glad to be a part of what we doing. And Unc, you got something special to tell them about somebody that was here today in the city, I believe.
Yeah, I told them about Michael Vick earlier today. Kudos to him coming out, sharing some of the things that a lot of professional athletes and college athletes and even high school athletes go through when they have to deal with mental health, being on that big stage, man, and the pressure that they have to deal with. So kudos to Michael Vick for coming to Columbus, Ohio, and talking at the African American Male Wellness Summit. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Spain and Argentina for making the World Cup final.
Yeah, man. Listen, this was an amazing podcast. Y'all definitely did y'all thing. I thank y'all for joining me, man. We always have a great time and cook up for the people. But
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. From Mossberg, a Level Up Sports 10, for Mr. Robert Brown with WTP Sports Dudes, and myself, post-game of the post-game podcast. We out of here. Peace.
Peace.